So then, we are now 5 games into the Premier League season, and I know it's early, but I'm starting to get the feeling that we might actually get a proper relegation battle this season. Hello guys, welcome back to yet another video. As I say, we're touching on the bottom half of the Premier League, even though this table next to me goes up to 7th place, just so we can incorporate Sunderland into the video. Look at them in the dizzy heights of 7th as a newly promoted team. Guys, we're going to talk about the latest results and which teams we maybe need to keep an eye on as we go into the second half of the season later this year and see which teams might still be down there. Guys, be sure to share your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on your team's start to the season so far, in particular if you support Leeds, Sunderland or Burnley, who have all had pretty promising starts, and that's what's making this quite interesting. Guys, before we get into it, make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 1,000 likes. It takes 2 seconds, so if you've not hit the thumbs up button, now's your chance. Make sure you are subscribed as well. Loads of Premier League content on this channel, so do get involved. And I want to say a massive thank you to Match Bingo. Match Bingo are sponsoring us, and they are a fantastic football app which you can download by clicking the link in the description or checking out the QR code. Match Bingo will be covering every Premier League game this weekend, so feel free to get involved. There's so much action going on, so many big prizes up for grabs, and like I say, football bingo, what's not to like? So a massive thank you to Match Bingo for sponsoring us. Make sure to use the code MATTSB to get yourselves a one-time 200% deposit bonus. Onto the video, and let's go through this from the top to the bottom. We have to start with Sunderland. A great draw at the weekend. Now, first of all, I did predict them to beat Aston Villa, but given the circumstances, a draw still feels like a good result because they were down to 10 and Villa, it was Villa's to lose really, wasn't it, from that point? But, I mean, we're going to come on to Villa later, who've been really poor, but I thought Sunderland were well worth something in this. It felt as though the red card actually put fire in the Sunderland belly, and the Stadium of Light is really proving to be a fortress this season, which is always going to be an integral part into whether your team can stay up, making your home ground a difficult place for teams to come. Isidore scoring again. I think he's been brilliant. He's taken to the Premier League like a duck to water, and if he keeps getting goals, they will be all right. As for the red card itself, by the way, I will say I think it is a red card. I've seen some people saying they don't agree with the decision, but I think it is. You can't kick out like that, even though it does look worse in slow-mo than in real time. You just can't do that in the Premier League. So he's got to learn from that mistake, Mandava, but Sunderland don't have many lessons to learn from this. I thought they were very, very good, and it's another draw. That's what? Only 1 game lost in 5 so far. Surprisingly, that was against Burnley. You'd think that would maybe be the game they would try and target, but all the same, 7th place, 8 points. And the main thing is, we're going to come on to this quite a bit today, points per game. We know that roughly, 38 points could be enough to stay up, but you don't want to be averaging a point per game. You want to try and be above that because difficult games will come down the line, like Man City, like Liverpool, where you're probably going to lose, and you want some breathing space and a bit of a cushion going into that. So, very encouraged by Sunderland. We'll touch on Fulham very briefly. I don't think they're going to be in any relegation danger this season unless they went on the terrible run. Back-to-back wins, great win against Brentford, Craven Cottage proving a difficult place for teams to go, so yeah, like I say, I won't touch on Fulham too much. I'm encouraged by them. I think they'll stay away from trouble. Obviously Man City, we're not going to touch on them in a relegation discussion, are we? They're in 9th place. The only thing that would see them get sucked into this is if they had a massive points deduction for breaking those rules, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Everton, I know some people are always going to say Everton could get sucked into it, but as I've said before, Everton are a different animal now, aren't they, under David Moyes? And their defeat to Liverpool, they could have got something out of that. They're at home to West Ham next time round. It's only if West Ham go to the Hill Dickinson Stadium and get a win, that's when Everton maybe start to be drawn into it. But once again, not really going to touch on Everton as far as a relegation battle is concerned. Manchester United. Look, it might sound stupid to try and involve Manchester United into a relegation battle, but maybe keep one eye on them. Still, the quality they've got with Mbeumo and Fernandes, you know, they've got so many top half Premier League players, they shouldn't be involved in a relegation battle, and they have just beaten Chelsea. Great result. Obviously Chelsea down to 10 in the first few minutes, but if Man United lose to Sunderland, which is a game coming up soon, that's when we can start to say Man United are going to be in the bottom half, aren't they? And if you're in the bottom half, you're not a million miles away from being in danger. But I won't touch on Manchester United too long. Let's talk about Leeds. Leeds United are up to 12th place. What a win. Now, I did back them to beat Wolves. I said they'd win 1-0, not 3-1. I thought, from what I've seen so far from Leeds United, they look like a really good defensive outfit. And, you know, a good defence can be enough to keep you up. But you do need goals. And they got 3 in a big head-to-head down at the bottom in this one. Some of the finishing, by the way. Anton Stack's goal. That is outrageous. And he had a great game as well. He's been fantastic for Leeds United. You need those new signings to hit the ground running. And if we look at this, I mean, they've picked up 7 points in 5, and they maybe have had one of the more difficult starts. They've had a harder start than Sunderland. Maybe you can say Burnley have had a harder start than Leeds. But I think 7 points from their 5 games is very encouraging. If you look at the numbers from the Wolves game, it maybe does suggest that, you know, Leeds United aren't going to score 3 goals every week. This was just a case of very good finishing and playing a poor Wolves team at the right time. But I don't want to take much away from Leeds. I've backed them to stay up, and I will stand by it. I still think it's probably going to be nail-biting and go to the bitter end. But look at them. They're 2 points ahead of a point per game, and things are looking good. I'm really happy that Daniel Farke's managed to tick off those first 2 wins in that first 5 games, just to ease any outside pressure. Got to try and get something against Bournemouth just to keep that momentum going. A draw against Bournemouth isn't bad, but imagine if they were to win that, they'd be up to 10 points. And to get 10 points from your first 6, that is very, very promising. So Leeds fans, share your thoughts. I'm full of praise for you guys after the weekend. Next up in the table, we find Newcastle. And then there's Brighton as well. We can probably say the same things for these two. Maybe the same things could be said about Forest and Villa in terms of these are clubs we don't expect to be down here. And you would imagine most, maybe all of these, will have pulled away as we get to Christmas. But a poor start to the season can spiral. Which of these teams down here am I the most worried for at the moment? It's probably Villa, possibly Forest. I've just got a lot of uncertainty about Forest. I'm not majorly concerned, but I'm just uncertain. Newcastle and Brighton, I think you can make the argument, have had difficult games, and they will start to pull away. Newcastle, of course, have had the Isak saga, which probably hasn't helped, and I think naturally the players are going to start to gel a bit more as the season goes on. Brighton haven't got European fixtures coming, so I think that's a reason they'll start to pull away, and Brighton have definitely had difficult games. Forest and Villa have the Europa League games coming up, and that's where I'm starting to think if congestion becomes a problem, if, you know, Villa not scoring is a problem, if Forest not keeping clean sheets is a problem, then they're going to struggle to move away from this bottom 5 or 6. And that's where, you know, Sunderland and Leeds getting off to decent starts can really hurt these teams down here at the minute. So Newcastle and Brighton, I think, will pull away. Forest, I would imagine, should. They're at home to Sunderland next. If they lose that game, then, yeah, some Forest fans will be worried. And then Villa, we'll come on to them in a second. Let's touch on Burnley in 16th place. They drew 1-1 with Forest. I'm wondering who's that a better result for. I think Burnley will take it. I think obviously, you know, they could have won. It was a close game, but they've had to come from behind. And given the amount of difficult games Burnley have had so far, I think it's just important to stick another point on the board. Just keep moving. Get a few more points on the board in between those really difficult games, because they go away to Man City next, which, you know, sorry Burnley, I don't see you getting anything there. But what we will say, in fairness, is the fixtures will turn around. Sunderland's games will get more difficult, Burnley's games will get more favourable. But the pressure will be on Burnley to start picking up a few more wins soon. But so far, not bad. They're above the bottom 3. Brentford, it's the manner in which they lost to Fulham, which is a bit of a worry. I still maintain that I think Brentford will be okay, but look, if Leeds and Sunderland and Burnley keep sticking points on the board and Brentford are struggling to get their next win, then inevitably Brentford will stay down here. Look, we all know the quality that they've lost. I mean, the manager, of course, but, you know, their best 3 players. There's still enough quality in there. I've said Damsgaard is a player I'm a fan of. Of course, he scored at the weekend. Sharda. A couple of the new signings have looked okay, but you do get the sense that Brentford need their next win pretty soon, just because they're below a point per game. They've got Man United at home next, which I don't think they can afford to lose. They've got to at least get a draw out of that. If they can win that, then you know what I mean. One win at this early stage catapults you up the table. So let's not get too concerned about Brentford just yet. But if you're a Brentford fan that is feeling a certain way at this point, feel free to share your thoughts. Villa, we said we'd touch on them. Look, they haven't lost many games. They've actually only lost 2 out of 5, but they've not won. That's the worry, isn't it? And now the Europa League games are coming around, and it's the goals that are a worry. You know, they've scored 1, and that was a Matty Cash strike, which could have been saved, I guess. And it's the fact that they were playing 10 men. I know they were away from home, but this is Villa, guys. This is a team that got into the Champions League the season before last. A team that finished 6th last season. They were playing a newly promoted side that was down to 10 men. Unai Emery had to get the win, and he hasn't done that. Obviously, I still think the quality that Villa's got will be able to pull them away from trouble with so many games still left to play. But it is a concern, isn't it? It is a concern with all these Europa League games coming around now as well. So they've got to find a formula. They've got to get Ollie Watkins firing. They've got to get Harvey Elliott scoring. Yeah, a little bit of a cause for concern. A big cause for concern is West Ham United. Of course, they have got their first win. That was a couple games ago now, though, of course, and they've just lost to Palace. Oh, yeah, look at the goal difference. -8. And question marks, of course, around Graham Potter. What does kind of reassure me somewhat with West Ham is you feel as though Graham Potter's going to go, and then will come a new manager bounce, you would imagine. What if that doesn't happen? What if they don't get the new manager bounce? Then they get left in the bottom 3. So need another result pretty soon, because, I mean, look at this bottom 3. You've got 3 established Premier League teams in there. I know it's 5 games in, but still, this is quite significant. And then finally, look at Wolves. They are stinking the league out, bottom of the table. And to lose 3-1 at home to a newly promoted side is definitely going to set off alarm bells. I know that, look, if this is any reassurance, Wolves got off to a slow start last season. And I remember in the first half of last season, Ipswich rocked up to Molineux and they beat them. And it felt like, oh, Wolves could be in danger. And then they turned it around and they showed how much quality they've got. But the thing is, it was Vitor Pereira that really got them playing well in the second half of last season, and he just can't get a tune out of them. So you do wonder, do they need a new manager bounce? But haven't they just given him a new contract as well? Oh, it's really worrying. And they've got Spurs away next. For Wolves to start changing my mind on where they are right now, they've got to probably get a surprise win. After Tottenham, they've got Brighton, and then Sunderland away. This is looking difficult for Wolves. They've got to show some fight here, because they are getting left behind. So right now, let's give my overall assessments. I did say at the start of the season that I thought Wolves could be in trouble. So I'll stand by that, even though I still think there's a way in which they could stay up. West Ham, question marks, just because who's the manager going to be if Graham Potter does go. Villa, I think, are going to pull away. Brentford, I think, could be in the bottom 6, but I still think they're going to be okay. Burnley, I'm going to give them a bit of a pass for now because they've had difficult games, but I still worry that they're below that point per game, and they've got Man City next, and then the pressure's on for them to start winning soon. So right now, Wolves, maybe Burnley and West Ham are the 3 I'm looking at the moment. But look, this is the Premier League. It can turn around quickly. It's very early on. Could Leeds and Sunderland still both go down with Burnley? Yes, that is possible. But right now, got to say, I'm quite encouraged by the 3 newly promoted teams. And if they keep this good start up, it does mean we will get a proper relegation battle, which is something that we haven't had for a couple of years. Share your thoughts, guys. Am I right to get excited? Is it too early to get excited about all of this? I don't know. I mean, just as a neutral, you just got to want a Premier League relegation battle where there's a few teams involved, where it goes to the final few weeks of the season. I know we're a long way away from that right now, but the early signs are promising. So pat on the back for Sunderland, pat on the back for Leeds, and a semi-pat on the back for Burnley. They've been okay. Guys, share your thoughts. Drop a like. Subscribe, get your comments down below. Make sure to check out Match Bingo. Make sure to scan the QR code or download the link in the description to check them out. Get involved. That's it from me. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Peace out.